This tape is about learning to find the notes in all four of the clefs that are commonly used in string playing. When you're playing a violin, the only clef you really need to know for playing is treble clef. If you play viola, you need to know alto clef and treble clef. If you play cello, you're really going to need to know bass clef is where you're going to start. You might go to treble clef next, but you also need to learn tenor clef. If you're playing the string bass, double bass, absolutely bass clef, and probably a fair amount of tenor clef as you get way more advanced. And then on the very advanced material, a little bit of treble clef. But we're not just training you at Stevenson to do your thing. We're training you to become leaders. And in order to do the composition assignments at level 2, and in order for you to work well in a chamber ensemble, you need to be able to identify notes in all four clefs, and it's actually not that hard. I like to call this lesson Exploding Faces because we take what we know from treble clef that you learned in grade school, I'm sure, F, A, C, E, and then we apply it to other places. And very quickly you'll see, whoa, this is really helpful to know. As you well know, as we go from space to line to space to line to space to line to space to line, even up with ledger lines, we're just going alphabet forwards, going up, backwards, coming down. It just so happens that when you do that, that every other one starting with F gives you the word face. So we know that these four notes are face in the treble clef. If we use the alphabet, then we quickly figure out, well, that note, that top line, that's going to be an F also. Oh, well, an F is the beginning of another face. But the face that's above the staff, or starts in the top of the staff in treble, is a line face. So the first ledger line above treble clef is A, the second ledger line above treble clef is C, and the third ledger line above treble clef is E. So as you go line space, you've got F, G, A, B, C, D, E. But the quick way to get through the exploding face, F, A, C, E, third line is E. Coming down from treble clef, from the F here, we know that the F is a space. So if we back up, or go down one note, we get to E. Well, E is the top of every other note spelling face. So as we go down lines below the treble clef, one ledger line is C, two ledger lines down is A, three ledger lines down is F. For violins, you don't really need to know that because your lowest note is the G here. For guitars, you do need to know this because this F is first fret on string 6. Your E is down below this F. And for guitars also, this E is in 12th fret on string 1. So this is all very much playing range for guitar. For violins, the G here, and this, the D that's here is the third position, fourth finger, so you're going to need that as you get into high school repertoire. This E is the octave harmonic on the high string, the top end of fourth position, so you need all of this range for violin as well. In the bass clef, one little shift and then we explode our face here. This clef is often known as the F clef because the dot is on the F line, the big dot at the beginning of the clef, and the two dots are on either side of the F line. So we've got F on that line. Well, we know that face is every other note, so it's either line, 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 or space, 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 space. So this is F. There's an A here. We need the first ledger line for the C. We need the second ledger line for the E. This is the beginning of fourth position in cello. It's it's well within the playing range in bass. So fourth finger in fourth position. Coming down, We know that this is F, so the space right below the F is E, C, A, F. Cellos go down to the C below, so this is F, this is E, and that's C. So we've got the cello low note, the bass low note, and then upper very much in the playing range for cello and viola here. These are actually the trickier two of the four clefs you're going to have to figure out with the exploding faces. The alto and the tenor clef, you know, look very similar to each other. Sometimes it's written as, it looks more like the letter K for alto clef here, for tenor clef here. It's a little bit fancier. These are both known as a C clef because the center of the clef shows you where middle C is, not just any C, middle C. So this C in alto clef is here in bass clef, and it's here in treble clef. Middle C is known as middle C because it's the middle of the grand staff. It's between, it's the note exactly between treble and bass clef. All right, so if we have C here, well, we know that C is in the middle of face, F-A-C-E, so going up one is going to be E. Try that again. Going C, there's an E there, coming down is A, and the bottom line then is F. So here's your alto clef, middle of the staff, face. E is here, F is going to be the space, A, above the first ledger line for C, and above the second ledger line for E. For viola, that's fourth finger at the top of first position. It's not quite all the way down yet. This is F, so we need E here, and that gives you open C, the bottom of the viola. So we do need all of this much range just for first position on viola. Tenor clef, quite common in cello playing and trombone playing. Not so common, but sometimes in bass. Again, the middle of the clef is C. So the line above it is E. The line below is A. And there's our face for tenor clef. F is the space that sits on top in tenor clef. A, C, E. Let me point out something. This space right here, the space that sits on top of tenor clef, is exactly the same four notes as where we started. So in tenor clef, these four notes are here in treble clef. Coming down if you need to, and it's not likely that you're going to need to come down lower than this in tenor clef. Notes that are down here would most often just be put into bass clef. But if you need to come down, here's your C, so here's your face. So that's going to be E, C, A, and I don't think you're ever going to need that F down there. But it's easy to find. So now, armed with face, identifying here, so we've got space, 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 go up one, you've got an F on this line, F-A-C-E. F is bottom space, so E is bottom line. Coming back down, 3 ledger lines is F, 2 ledger lines is A, 1 ledger line is C, bottom of the staff is E. In bass clef, fourth line is where the F is, so you've got a line face here and a space face here. In alto clef, middle of the clef, which also is middle of the staff, is middle C. There's C, there's face, here's E, here's another face, a space face. In tenor clef, the middle of the clef is not the middle of the staff, it's the fourth line, middle C, line face, space face, and if you need it, also a space face down here. You're going to need, in orchestra curriculum, to be able to just get around for 2 reasons. One is when you're doing your composing project, you're going to be writing some violin parts and viola parts and some cello and bass parts. So in order to do the homework at level 2, you really need to be able to get around the staffs, the clefs, and find the faces, find the notes in different clefs. And in life and in practicing, when you're doing chamber music, if you need to look at somebody else's part and figure out how your part lines up, you need to be able to read the different clefs. And many of you in the Stevenson Orchestra and guitar programs will end up being leaders of some level of ensemble programs. So you're going to need to learn to read scores too. And this is a big jump up if you already know how to read different clefs. That's it for this video.